So, Rob, how are you, mate? How's things?
Not too bad at all, mate. Yeah, busy, very busy.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on. We were just saying then, it's you were the first person that ever come on this podcast, and it's your second time on it. No, it's second time, isn't it?
This is the second time I've come on. Yeah.
But you've not been to the studio, have you?
No, I mean a massive amount's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In that short space of time, to be honest.
That's what I was going to ask. What has changed for you? What's going on?
It's not just for me. Obviously, there's a lot changed for you. And the last time we did the podcast, it was on Zoom.
Yeah,
yeah. Crackly, and, you know what I mean? And it's for me, massive. You know, I was kind of probably in the middle of the first 12 months in property. Kind of, you know, I was deal packaging, doing anything I could really to get my foot in that, you know, inside property and, you know, and move from construction. And the whole thing's changed. Everything, it's almost done an about turn and come back to where I was originally. Are you with me? Someone who come on my podcast recently, a guy named Andy Hubbard, kind of shook everything up for me.
Remember you saying, yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of, you know, he was of the opinion, why are you bothering with property? You know, you can be developing houses, making massive profits, and everything you need to do that is all set up. The infrastructure's all there because I was running a building company. Are you with me? So, yeah, so it's kind of, a little bit before that, I kind of decided that deal packaging just wasn't for me. You know what I mean? It's sold to be, you know, originally you start up yourself, you work yourself, you get a few deals, and then you scale. Are you with me? And you build a deal packaging company that can be effectively passive income. But it's not. There isn't a business on this side of the earth that's totally passive. You know what I mean? People say work on the business and not in it.
Yeah.
Which is right to a certain degree, but you still need to oversee that business. There's no one who's got the best interest in that business other than the person that started it, persons whose business it is. So even if you can't just step away forever unless you're BP or someone like that, you know what I mean? And it's like $1 billion company. But yeah, it's
a well-oiled machine, innit? Like that, like different one on them. It's like 50 whatever years old, and it's why
companies like that have been running for decades and decades. You know what I mean? And it's oil for a start. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what was the script with the sourcing then? Because I think the sourcing is sold as a bit of a dream. I know people who were doing well off it, but I do think it's sold as a bit of a dream by people because it is a lower barrier to entry, and then that does give sources a bad name because a lot of people get into it. It's not regulated. What did you find with it? Why did you stop?
Well, you've got, in my opinion, looking from it now rather than back then. Obviously, when you want to get into property and you've not got massive amounts of money, because initially you think you need a lot of money to get into it. So the first thing you do, you get on Google, YouTube, whatever, and you'll type in, get into property with no money or with low money. And there's two things that pop up. There's the rent-to-rent scenario that people like Samuel Leeds and that advocate and what have you. And then there's the deal packaging or the sourcing, where effectively you don't need any money to do those two strategies. And to sell them as a course or a program is relatively easy because of that low barrier to entry. Are you with me? Monetary. So you'll generally take one of those two. And I did try, I tried deal packaging, which I went a bit further with, but I did try the old rent-to-rent thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I went to a couple of estate agents and just met, and did, the whole speech that you taught and stuff like that through the videos. I just felt like an idiot, Yeah. These people that make it work and go into estate agents and talk to them and get them on board and things like that, I've got massive respect for them. Because to sell something like that, there is something in it for both sides, but initially it comes across as a bit of a scam, doesn't it? That you want to subletting apparently illegal, but people that do it, I've got massive respect for, but it just wasn't for me at all. Are you with me? That wasn't the kind of thing that I wanted to do. That was basically taking someone else's property and uplifting it and getting a better rent for it than you're giving them. So it was another business. the last thing I wanted was another business. And I was persuaded by a friend of mine, who's now a friend, to try deal packaging, which I did, and I did all right at it, but over the 12 months that I did it, I was, probably twice, maybe 3 times the amount busy that I was just running my construction company. And the whole reason I wanted to get into property in the first place
was to get out of that, and
was to come away from construction. Not construction, customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, construction's easy, turning up at Mrs. Jones's and building an extension to a drawing is what it is, it is what it says on the tin. But when you have to start dealing with Mrs. Smith, who decides, like, 2 weeks later you've finished the brickwork, that she doesn't like that brick and it all needs to come down and be redone, things like, just little things like that, or,
the reality of business, basically, innit?
Yeah,
like,
customers are... Can I swear? Fucking nightmare, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're an absolute nightmare to deal with. Don't get me wrong, there's some good ones,
Yeah.
But for every one good one, there's probably 2 bad ones, are you with me? A lot of people will disagree with that and say I'm probably not qualifying my customers enough. But you can qualify your customers as much as you want. They still slip through the net. Because when you first meet them, people are so different to when you actually get into business or do work for them.
100%, and I think more so in your game as well, because one, it's a big investment.
Yeah,
what's your
using the life savings, or they've remortgaged their house or something like that. So it's massive money to them. Are you with me?
Yeah, so it means a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
and my idea with the deal packaging was, I'll just trade the customer for an investor. Investors are professional people. They'll be a lot easier to deal with. They'll be better to work for. Shit, Jesus Christ, was I wrong?
They're even worse.
They're even worse because they're running a business, so you're taking from their top line, taking from their profits. Sorry, so it's kind of, they don't want it. They don't want you to do the refurb that you think they wanted to do. They want to do something that's cheaper. Are you with me? A lot of people would happily rent a house out that's substandard if it made them more money, and I just can't get on board with that. I want to do a proper job. Are you with me? And put people in the houses that they deserve for the amount of rent that they're paying. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So it just didn't work out. I tried it. I did it. I was relatively successful at it. I did okay, but it just wasn't for me. So that's why I went looking for that one big investor that I mentioned on your first ever podcast, which I've now found, and we're now kind of 6 months into it. Are you with me?
Brilliant.
So at the minute I've got 3 properties in legals. I'm in the middle of a refurb for this partnership. We've just completed last Friday on a piece of land to build a 4-bed detached house. That's where I wanted to be ultimately. And when Andy came round and came on my podcast and kind of shook it all up for me, I went away literally that day.
Started looking at land.
Found a piece of land, and within, I think it was.
Is it that land you're buying?
Yeah, I think it was 6 weeks. I'd completed on it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm basically come full circle. I've gone from being a construction director of a company, which I still am. Building houses and extensions for other people, coming all the way back, doing deal packaging, doing a bit of this, doing a bit of buy-to-let and stuff like that, back to building houses, but this time for me and my partner, which is what I wanted to do originally. It's what I set out. That was my end goal. And if I did it again, I'd go straight into that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bother with... I'm glad I've done it because I've learnt massive amount of... I've learnt a lot.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot. Not just in property, but business as well.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a book at the minute called Profit First.
Oh, yeah.
And that shook things up for me as well. You know what I mean? You think you're making good money, you think you're making a good profit and stuff like that, and we all get to the year end and we struggle to find the money to pay his tax bill and stuff like that, and we're thinking, why I've made a good living this year. And looking at it through the eyes of this book, I've actually set up the accounts and all that, and I'm actually implementing it. And just literally a couple of weeks in, I've seen a massive difference.
Yeah, I was literally just at Justin and Ray, and we're talking about profit and loss, and doing it every month and stuff like that. And that you realise everyone thinks they're making money, but until you actually look at the profit and loss and realise saying to Justin Ray tells you everything you need to know. But that's interesting. What's that book like? Is it good? Is it about that? Is it profit and loss and all that stuff?
It's very good, and it's very. how can I say this, kind of down to earth. It speaks to us as people, doesn't speak to high-end businessmen, you know what I mean? It speaks,
BP.
It speaks to normal, everyday people that get into business.
I have to read that.
I've listened to the audio, but I've just had it on literally driving up here, so just listening to the last couple of verses. But yeah, it's a good book. Yeah, I would recommend it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I've kind of gone on. I hate the word journey, but I've said this last time, but I'm gonna have to use it. I've gone on this like full-scale journey and coming back, and it's a bit strange that you've asked me to come on now. And kind of completed that loop as I've come on after the first time I come on your podcast. Yeah. What was it?
November. So for anyone listening, Rob was on the podcast. He was the first person on the podcast. I remember asking him and thinking, shit, he's going to ask who else was on it here. So I said, oh yeah, I've got like 10 people booked in. Probably had like 2. And he come on. We had a good laugh. It was on Zoom. It was all crackly. I was probably nervous. Rob probably didn't have a clue I was nervous. And we had a good chat. Then I went on Rob's. And then it's nearly been a year, hasn't it, since we and like you say, a lot has changed.
I mean, I'd not far off just started then, so I was amazed you wanted me on. Yeah. But then you turn the back round and you say you were amazed that I wanted to come on, are you with me? Because you were just starting out yourself. Yeah. But I think it's good to see how people get on, and you know when they start something up and how it ends up, and things like that. Because obviously, it's gone.
But you said on that we said this on yours, but you said on that podcast, my goal is to get an investor, big pot of cash, and go. Are you done? And you done that, didn't you?
That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to. Like I said, I'd done the deal packaging. I kind of figured out it wasn't really what I wanted. You know what I mean? I'd tried a few other little bits, raising money here and there. You know, offering the 10% or the PG and stuff like that. I found that difficult in itself. That you know, a lot of investors were becoming wise to the fact that if you offered a PG, you could offer 200 of them on that same property. No one would be the wiser. And they also, you know, the old first charge thing, if there was, you know, a first charge for a lump that an investor had put on, and then some lending was brought in after, that first charge would ask to be removed by the lender. Are you with me? It was difficult, you know what I mean, to do that. And the people that raise money all the time, deal specific. So, you know, they'll find a deal for a specific property and then they raise money just for that deal. Yeah. Then they give it back and then they go to the next deal and they raise money for that deal. Raising them multiple amounts, if you do 4 or 5 properties a year, to me, that's hard work. And I was like, how can I decrease that work? That was my, you know what I mean? How can I do smaller amount of work but achieve the same thing, but in a greater scale? So I was like, I want a bigger investor, more long term, which led to me finding a girl named Sally Kiff, who I had quite a bit to do with, and it was basically about finding that one big investor. It was basically an equity split. So it's basically, she puts the money in, I do all the graft, 50-50 split. Nothing's touched for the first 5 years, so everything that comes out of it, refinance, rent money, anything like that, anything that's earned goes back in for the first 5 years. After 5 years, she basically then gets her pot back. There's no interest or nothing like that, but she retains 50% of the company, and I retain 50% of the company. To me, all that I've done is put some graft in. I've not actually put any of my own money in whatsoever. And the beauty of it is, because I'm a building company, I'm actually earning from it as well. Yeah. Because I charge a sourcing fee for finding the properties to the company, so I'll earn that way, which, you know, it incentivises me to want to do it, to find the properties. And then I'll also earn from doing the construction work itself. And my lads obviously stay in a job.
It's great, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Otherwise, you know, if I wanted to get out of the construction completely and just employ, you know, subbies and that to come in and do it and just project manage it, all my lads would effectively lose their jobs. Are you with me? So they wouldn't struggle. They're good lads, you know what I mean? They'd find work straight away, but yeah.
So you knew what you wanted though, didn't you? You knew you wanted this big pot, someone to come in with a big pot. How did you find Sally? Because I think you knew her for years, haven't you?
Sally, no, I've probably known. I've not known Sally as long as I've known you, to be honest.
Seriously, yeah.
And we got in touch. We had a bit of back and forth. I just come out of a mentorship that I got a lot from, but I thought that I'd slightly overpaid for what it was. Are you with me? So I ended up getting a bit of money back and stuff like that, and you know, but yeah, I was a bit sceptical on mentorship and education in general.
Yeah.
Because, you know, looking in from the outside, I was involved in education in construction. I worked in a college.
Oh, was she? Yeah.
Yeah, for 4 years. During like a slow period in construction,
Yeah.
I decided I was going to go work in education. Job came up.
I think you told me that actually, yeah.
Yeah, and I did that for 4 years. First couple of years enjoyed it. Last couple of years hated it because kids are hard work to deal with, especially ones that don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Me. But we were scrutinised. You know, we had Ofsted coming in, do inspections, stuff, you know, things like that. Your manager would watch you, they would do evaluations and what have you, and you had to teach to a curriculum to a certain, you know, certain criteria. None of that in property education, you know.
Yeah, there's no regulation.
CPD or whatever it is, that's just a certificate they'll give to anyone. So, yeah, you can basically do or teach whatever you see fit and charge whatever you want. So, which is nothing wrong with that. It's a business model, and the people that are doing it and they're doing it well, take my hat off to them. They're making money in business. But, yeah, I was a bit sceptical and eventually kind of did get involved with Sally. I helped her a little bit with some things as well, like, you know, refurbishment stuff, and we kind of scratched each other's back. She helped me out. I found this investor who invariably had been watching me for over 8 months before she actually made contact with me.
Mad.
So this kind of thing and the social media does work, but it takes time. Are you with me? So yeah, and then the rest's history. We're now in business for the next 5 years, probably for the rest of his lives. Are you with me? Because it will roll on. If it works, then she'll want to keep going. And do you reckon she's subconsciously she's sort of used you to see what you work like and stuff? Because you mentioned you've done a couple of refurbs for her, is that right? Couple of what? Sorry?
Did you say with your construction company? Did you do a couple of refurbs for her?
No.
Oh, sorry, I thought that's what you said.
Never done any work for her or anything. She just literally saw one of my videos on, I think it was Facebook. You know what I mean? Instagram's probably my favourite, but Facebook, yeah, I get more interaction on Facebook. She spotted that. She, I think it was about a specific property that I was struggling to raise finance for. It was an absolutely corking deal. She got in touch. I basically had a good chat with her. We met for a couple of coffees. I showed her databases and spreadsheets and projections and things like that. Basically sold to her what I thought was a good deal. And over the space of probably 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, we then got into business together, signed a contract, and then I started to see money landing in the account after that. So
incredible.
Yeah.
So the deal. Did you raise money on that deal via Sally? Was it that deal that you were struggling to raise a bit of? The deal that you had on.
Well, she just thought that was the ideal. That was the ideal deal to start on with. You know, with the actual program that I'd got all lined up. You know, me and Sally worked on an actual model, a business model, and it's projected over a massive. You know, she's one of the best at building spreadsheets I've ever seen. Her spreadsheet's phenomenal, and it basically projects what we're going to buy, when we're going to buy it, when we can afford to buy the next one, and at what point, you know, the investor will get their money back. And then one point we can start taking dividends as profit and things like that.
Yeah.
It's all projected, and it's all based on actual deals that I've done in the past. So it's based on real numbers as well. It's not just, you know what I mean, guessed at.
Yeah.
So that's what impressed her, alongside the fact that she'd been watching what I've been posting for 8 months.
I like what you've done with the, because we spoke about this before, but I like what you've done with the 5 year thing. I've not seen many people do that, to be fair. The people are looking for just the one investor, get this deal over the line, give them the money.
People do it, and it's massive in business. You know, business startups, they'll find either equity partners or JV partners or angel investors, and it will generally be over long term. You know what I mean? Because you can't produce a business and get it cash flowing and profitable. In a year, are you with me?
Or two.
Some people can, you know what I mean, if it's a phenomenal business model, but generally it'd take, 4 or 5 years to get it to the point where you could pay that investor back or start giving dividends or what have you. So yeah, that was the idea. It was taken from the commercial world of business, really, where they do it quite a lot. So
And it's great because it gives you the sort of rocket up your arse to keep pushing your building company and keep growing that. And
yeah, I mean, I've never wanted to grow the building company. It was always,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I just couldn't stand working for people.
yeah,
You know, I've worked for other construction companies and what have you over the years, and I'd always come home and be like whinging to the missus like they couldn't run a piss up in a beer, you know what I mean? They don't know what they're doing and all.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where I was like, why don't you do it yourself?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's, you know, over, you know, periods of like, you know, because the construction industry goes up and down. It's,
Yeah.
it's either slow or ridiculously fast. There's never nothing in between. It's never steady. Are you with me? So, and at one particular time, it was slow. So I set up on my own, and it was actually when I was at the education provider, when I was at the college. I decided I'd had enough after about 3 or 4 years, and literally in the time when I was supposed to be like marking papers and doing assessments and stuff like that, you know, I was sneaking off to the office and building a website for another construction company and advertising it and like trying to get customers and stuff. And yeah, someone rung me, said they need an extension building. That was it. My notice went in and I went back.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it all really got started properly. But you know, I've always been in business. I've always been a self-employed carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, mate. If you could go back now, like obviously even just this year, you've only been fully in property. Maybe was it 12 months, something like that? Like
about 16 months now. Yeah,
16 months. If you could go anything back to that start, would you still have a, you know, test the water with the sourcing and test the water with
I think what I'd do, and again, this is something Andy up. I keep saying his name. Don't everyone think I love the guy, but he speaks a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, he said something to me, and I think he said it on the podcast as well. I'll have to watch it back. But he said that your first year in property or in, you know, in entrepreneurship should be spent deciding what you want to do, not just jumping. You know, seeing the first thing, deal sourcing, rent to rent, and just jumping feet first. Are you with me? You should basically educate yourself in what it is you want first, you know what I mean, assess, because they tell you when you plan for that first 5-year plan, you can't plan if you don't know what it is you actually want, and you can't know what you want without seeing what's available, so you need to go out and have a look. Are you with me? So I think that is very sensible, and I wish I'd done, you know, that, testing the water and finding out where I want to be. Yes, I'd have wasted a year. Well, not wasted a year, but I'd have done a year looking around and seeing what's out there. But once I'd found exactly what it is I wanted to do, I'd have gone full scale into it. Are you with me? So it's kind of what it is. You know, it's kind of what I have done, I suppose.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But I've actually had a go at a few things as well. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So,
but I think you've got to have a go, though, haven't you? Because if you hadn't had a go, you wouldn't have knew.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned my business merger before we come, you know, on air.
Yeah.
You know, I merged with another building company to try and lift the building company up, and that just hasn't worked. Now, I'd be silly to say I regret it, because I don't, you know what I mean? I've done it, I've had a go, and I think, yes, it hasn't worked, but I think if I hadn't have tried, I'd have always been thinking, what if? Are you with me? If I'd have turned it down kind of thing. So, you know, it was circumstances we got into. You know, we didn't, you know, we haven't fell out or anything like that, but we didn't quite see eye to eye on the running of the business, and I think we had different ideas, even though when we first sat down we thought we were on the same page kind of thing, but things just don't work out sometimes, do they? So
it's like some may call it the entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurial chaos. You just want to do things and try things, and I think it's the best way to be. You know, just keep trying things.
Well, everyone goes on about action, don't they? You won't do anything unless you actually take some action, and I think I'm almost too far there. I just take action like, are you with me? I don't even think about it sometimes. And I think that is a little bit of a curse where you go in the opposite way. I think you still need to think about things before you do, you know, before you take action. 100%.
So you talk about land then. What's the script with that? You bought some land.
Yeah, so like I say, I've gone full circle. I've basically come now to actually doing what I initially wanted to do when I set out to do all of this, which was building houses. You know, I've done it best part of my life. I've built houses for other people. When I first started at like 15 years old, I worked for a company called Jones Homes in Alderley Edge, Wimslow, nice places like that.
Nice areas,
building like
footballers' houses,
footballers' houses and stuff like that. So I've done a lot of house building, are you with me? I understand it like the back of my hand. So obviously building the house to me is the easy bit, but it's the actual, buying the land, sourcing the land, understanding things like, utility connections and the tree surveys and water table survey. There's just so much that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, things like that, ecological stuff, and it's just phenomenal. And then learning about things like sill payments and all these taxes that are actually applicable that you can...
Speaking foreign to me here.
SIL is basically a community infrastructure levy, where if you build in a certain place, they actually tax you for building in that place because you're adding to the infrastructure. So they're saying that the school will take more people. You know what I mean? They need more buses. They need more bins emptying. You know what I mean? The council. The infrastructure's going to have to cope with more people, which is crazy because I'm building one unit.
Yeah.
So, but luckily there's no sale where I've bought. So, but if you hadn't have known about that, you could have quite easily fell into that trap, bought a property in that area. And then all of a sudden you're hit with this massive payment.
Because on the face of it, to someone like yourself, you think, well, not like yourself, you're a builder, so to me, say, you think the hardest thing is, right, the build. We need to get the build right, but like you say, there's so many more moving parts. So how did you get to grips with all these little parts? I imagine you're still learning every day with it.
Yeah, I've still not got to grips with it, are you with me? There are things that I'm still, literally, a couple of days ago I found out about a few different things from the architects, and I think it's about having the right kind of people around you, you know what I mean? Good architects, good solicitor, good broker, you know what I mean? People, the reason, I don't know about you, but the whole reason I do my podcast is so I can get to talk to people that I wouldn't ordinarily get to talk to. Are you with me?
Definitely.
I got quite a lot of info and had a real good chat with Andy Hubbard, who does, that's what he does, is development, and he educates in it as well. Normally that would have cost me a lot of money to actually get to speak to him. Are you with me?
That's it.
I'd have had to enrol on a course or, whatever. The podcast's brilliant for that because you can get to sit, and it's not just sitting here and doing the podcast. It's the half an hour before and the half an hour after, or maybe going for a coffee and then obviously because you've then almost gained a new friend, it's quite acceptable then for you to message and things like, oh, are you with me? If you've never met the person,
for like 200 quid, £1,000 or whatever.
They're getting a reply. So it's amazing for stuff like that, but basically to learn how to understand the inconsistencies of things like that, is just surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people who are doing it. Yeah. Are you with me? I think that's half the battle with education as well. Yeah. Finding people that are actually doing what they teach and not just teaching it. Yeah. So
that's interesting because the question was obviously about the land and stuff, and then we got onto the podcast. Like the podcast for me, that's the same for me. It's to get around good people who are knowledgeable and certain, and the information that they have and they give on a podcast for free, like you just said, they charge for it. So it's interesting.
Well, yeah, someone's coming on as a guest. They don't want to appear, or they want to appear as knowing what they're talking about and understanding their field. Are you with me?
Of course.
So for them to withhold stuff in front of a camera or in front of a microphone is not in their interest at all. So when they come on, they need to get it all out and they need to show and understand they know what they're doing. Are you with me? Yeah. So, and that benefits the people that they're talking to in the podcast. Are you with me?
Definitely.
So, but I wanted to do this probably a year ago, but I understood that my social media following wasn't very high at the time. I was quite new to it, so there'd be parts of discussions that I just wouldn't understand. So I held off, and when I saw yours, I thought I'll just go on other people's basically until I can build a bit of a following up, gain some information myself and educate myself, and then jump in with a better understanding and probably not have to go through the 2 views per month and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but it's I've done it and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. But again, it's hard work. It's time consuming.
When you've got other things on as well, it is hard to keep consistent with it. But I think it is so important. So important.
That's why I'm struggling at the minute with it. It's the consistency of it. I set out to do 1 per week every weekend I was getting one out, and I stuck with that for, I think I'm on about 6 or 7 episodes now. I've stuck with that for about 6 episodes.
Yeah.
The last one was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that this merger didn't go well, and you know what I mean, I've had to get back in my scuffs, go on the tools a little bit, and you know, just help out on site. So I've been a lot busier. So what you will find is the things that don't pay you income will get put on the back burner. And although the podcast is going to bring business in, you know what I mean, it's advertising basically and marketing. It is going to bring business in, but it doesn't immediately bring it in. So that's the thing that kind of went on the back burner. I've not stopped it at all, you know what I mean? I've literally got, I've got 3 quite decent, you know, really good guests that have been and recorded that I've actually got to get edited and get out there. So I've done a bit this morning on one. You know, I'll catch back up.
Yeah,
that's who I am. You know what I mean?
I think it is super important. It was I've had a lot going on myself recently, and it is hard to keep up with it. But I was speaking to my girlfriend about it, and she was like, "What are you doing? You're doing podcasting tomorrow? Like, you've got a lot on. You know, do you need to be doing that?" But I was like, in perspective, I've raised money off this now, and it's like, and I do believe it's important. It's off this. So I think it is, even though people
don't see that direct. Same with social media. I get it off my missus all the time, and if she listens to this, she'll go mad. You know what I mean? She'll go, "I'm sick of hearing I am the builder investor." You know what I mean? And it's like, why are you wasting your time with stuff like that? What you're posting on social media all the time for? And I was like,
it works.
It's got to be done, but people don't see that direct link with earning money. It doesn't come directly, you know what I mean? But it's massive.
Yeah.
Someone said something to me when I first started, and it stuck with me. And it says there's only one kind of business, and that's a sales and marketing business. Every business is a sales and marketing business. If you've not got that, you've not got a business.
Yeah.
And social media is such a powerful sales and marketing tool.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people are not doing it.
Yeah.
You know
You've got to utilise it, haven't you? Got to
Yeah.
keep on top of it, got to utilise it.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it'll ever go paid? Social media?
Well, it is, isn't it?
I suppose it is, yeah, but in sense of like a subscription base or something like that. Do you reckon it'll ever do that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've seen LinkedIn now already, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can subscribe and have a better... I don't understand exactly what you do get in for the paid for with LinkedIn, but yeah, you know, you can have paid ads on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and boost posts, and well, mine is paid because I've got the blue tick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly,
so, you know what I mean? The only reason I've got that is because my personal page, someone took it from me, basically.
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had close on to 12k followers. It was all about mountain biking and camper vans.
Yeah,
me and my old man and my mates going around the country, and you know, it was dead wild just for a little crappy page that someone set up about mountain biking. But yeah, and I started posting property stuff on that originally.
Got it, didn't you?
And I lost half my following. Following went down to about 4,500, something like that, in the space of 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I just kept it to the side because I still love the sport, and you know, I still post on there. But more importantly, the whole reason property started was my dad died suddenly, and it gave me that, you know, the kick up the arse, because he didn't particularly leave anything back for his kids. And I didn't want that for my kids. Are you with me? So when obviously he died, there was hundreds of pictures of me and my dad on this Instagram page. Yeah. And to have it taken from me, that was the biggest thing. The fact that I'd lost all my pictures of my dad. You know, I even tried setting up because he'd blocked me, my missus and anyone I knew, basically, so we couldn't get on there to take the pictures off. Are you with me? Like screenshot them or whatever. So have
you asked anyone else to look?
I've asked a few people, yeah, but people don't want to. You know, there's hundreds of pictures. I expect you look now, mate. But yeah, I mean, if you want to,
I'll look for you in a minute.
Drag some pictures off. But it's
yeah.
But that's the reason I got the blue tick.
Yeah.
But that costs you money. Are you with me?
That's it.
So,
have you? Do you get much business? I think I've asked you this before. Do you get much business from the Builder and Investor page for your company, for your construction company? I bet you get a bit, don't you?
I tie them in together. Obviously, I've got, you know, Greenwood Design and Build, which is my company. We've got a page for them, but that's only got like 600-700 followers.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my builder investor page is that's not massive. That's you know, 2,500, something like that.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of views. I've approached it in a different way to what loads of people do. People go for followers. Now, getting 10,000 followers and only having maybe 2,000 of them that are actually listening at what you're posting or getting engaged with it or interested.
It's not about the followers, is it? Really, I used to think it was, and then you realise like all you need is you need more.
You want the right following, you know what I mean?
Cult following in it, like a proper. But I was going to ask. I want to speak about that land a little bit more. What's the script with that then? So you're building one house on there?
Yeah, so I bought it. It's got outright planning for 1 4-bed detached house.
Did you get planning or did you buy it?
To cut a very long story short, it's a friend of mine, a guy named John Clough, who's helped me massively. He's been in property for a long time, like since the very early days of Progressive. He went through Progressive. Like, yeah. So he's helped me massively. He was buying this plot of land. He's been mentored by Andy Hubbard at the minute.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I put something on Facebook that I was looking for a piece of land, and he messaged me and said, I'm in the middle of buying this plot of land, but I've got a flip on at the minute. All my money's tied up. I think I'm going to have to pull out of it. Are you interested? I was like, yeah, send it over. Let's have a look at it. Sent it over, did all the numbers, and he was like 90% of the way through it, so 90% of the work was done. You know what I mean? He got all the tree surveys and landscaping surveys, and all of them were either done or we'd already got quotes and things like that. Drawings were already done. It got outright planning with a couple of stipulations that needed to be satisfied. So, and he kind of taken care of most of it. So I looked at the numbers, and the numbers were really good. You know, he's obviously done his own work, bought a good deal. So I basically just stepped in.
Took over the
took
legals.
over the sale, and I've bought it instead of him. I've given him a sourcing fee because obviously it was his deal. And then basically I think I've got one more condition to satisfy, which is a tree survey, which has been done, but the survey company went and missed a couple of trees, so the council won't allow it, so that's got to be redone. So I was going to an awards ceremony for Blue Bricks, and I was dressed up in my tuxedo and all that lot, and I actually had to go around to this site and take a picture of these 2 trees in my tuxedo on the way to the awards ceremony.
He's on soon. He's on later. Sam, yeah.
He's just been on mine yesterday.
Has he? Yeah. He's a good lad, isn't he?
Yeah, love Sam. He's amazing. Yeah.
Good lad. Yeah. So, have you got an idea? Obviously, you have an idea. Do you mind going into? No, you don't have to go into the figures, but how much it is the cost of the build and stuff. Obviously, it's a bit different with you because you've got the company and stuff.
Yeah, it cost us 79,500 to buy the plot of land.
Yeah.
With outright planning. The build
sounds quite reasonable.
Yeah, it is, but land's not expensive in Stoke. Are you with me? But it's all relative, because if the land's not cheap, the GDV's not going to be as big as somewhere that the land's a little bit more expensive. Are you with me? But from what a few people have said, land is cheap at the moment. Are you with me? So when you do find land, one thing I have noticed is it's massively overpriced, so you have to educate the vendors that they need to come down on it. Are you with me? But yeah, the numbers are, I bought it for 79.50. I priced the build at 190,000. John, the guy that I bought it from, he'd priced it at 180,000, so I'd gone slightly over, but I have built in some contingency. And then I've had a GDV that I've found comparables for myself. I found 4 comparables, and then I've also put it in front of 2 estate agents, and they've said the GDV is about 420, 430. Nice. So there's 110 grand profit in it.
Nice.
So what I like about them kind of deals is if you put that in comparison to a good flip. So say you bought a property for 100 grand, you spent 50 grand on it, and you sold it for, I don't know, 220, something like that, and you set to make like 30 grand, 40 grand. It only takes something to go wrong where you end up spending another 10 grand. That's cut massively into your profit. If you're making 30, you're down to 20. If you're making 20, you're down to 10. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much to go wrong to fuck that deal up. Are you with me? Whereas when you're making bigger profits, you're making 100 grand upwards.
You can afford that.
You can, if it doesn't sell very quickly when you've built it and you have to drop it by 20 grand and you're only making 80 grand, boo-hoo, I'm only making 80 grand, you know what I mean? The fact that the profits are bigger allows more wiggle room for, you know, for problems or, you know, things that could go wrong that invariably will in this industry. Nothing ever goes perfectly smoothly.
Most definitely. And have you got a time scale on that? Obviously, I know you've got to wait for certain things.
I think I can build it in 4 months, but I've allowed 6 months.
Quick that, like, innit? 4 months.
Yeah. So
that's mad. That's incredible, and I love what you said about where your building company. Obviously, thingy's offered as well, doesn't it? You're paying your building company to do it. Your lads are still in work. It all folds in, doesn't it? It's happy days.
Yeah. And at the end of that, you know, the profit will go back into that other company with me and me equity partner.
Yeah, of course.
That will either allow us to do one or two things. We can either go and buy more land and just keep doing that. But that wasn't the actual plan. That, you know, the plan was to buy terraced houses, turn them into 7 or less bed HMOs. You know, take the profit from the uplift on whether it's a commercial or a bricks and mortar. Sometimes it can be a hybrid. Are you with me on that kind of? Generally, you know, less than probably 5. You're going to be looking at either an hybrid or bricks and mortar. But yeah, that was the strategy, to do smaller end HMOs. Stay below 7 bedrooms, so we don't have to go for planning and sewage generous and stuff like that, and slow the whole model up. So, but yeah, I am now reevaluating and thinking that we could probably make more money just developing property. But I think it'll end up being a mix. I think we'll make money in developing, which will keep my building company running, and then that money
profits into it,
can be put into property to hold it. Are you with me? To keep the money safe, kind of thing. So I think that's what we'll end up doing. So
when you've got the assets as well, it builds security around it and all that good stuff, doesn't it? So amazing, Rob. Rob, always a pleasure speaking to you. If anyone is looking to connect with you, jump on your podcast or anything, any of the above, where's best to find you, Rob?
Yeah, any platform. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok as well now. I'm everywhere. The Builder Investor on all platforms. If you want to look for me, look for the Builder Investor.
Yeah.
If you want to come on the podcast, I'll have anyone on. When I set it up to run forward with it, I decided that I just didn't want to just go for big hitters that, you know, got a £20 million portfolio but probably hadn't bought a property in the last 5 years. I wanted people that were starting out as well that could convey what problems they are having now. Are you with me? What they were battling against and how they were finding things difficult, or what they were winning with, and are you with me? Because I think it gives inspiration then to people that want to come into it new. Are you with me?
Definitely.
So yeah, if anyone wants to come on the podcast, hit me up. If I can find a spot for you, you can come on. And I need some ladies on there because I'm getting so much crap at the minute for having only guys, apparently. Even though I've had girls on there.
Honestly, I've got a lot of time for you, Rob, and I appreciate you coming on and making the trip down here. But thanks again, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.